Welcome to Midnight Movie Talk Live Breaking News Edition. This is as good as it gets because it's been bad news for the past 146 days. I mean, my God, we're talking about a third of a year essentially over that we've been in the situation where the Writers Guild has been striking, looking for more pay, looking to de-emphasize AI, all the things that were involved in this contentious negotiation over the past 146 days. But the good news is here tonight, breaking news, it looks like the deal has been reached. Straight to the Hollywood Reporter, and let's read it. I'm looking at this live because I just sat down to get ready for the Sunday Night Spectacular here on MMT. If you're not familiar with the show, it's your first time, thank you for being here. Welcome. We always do a Sunday night show about 8:15 or so. Here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to have the stream be about 20 minutes. We'll talk about the WGA strike, and then I'm going to break, and then I'm going to come back at 8:15 because I really have a big topic tonight. I want to talk about the state of film criticism and shills taking over. What can we do to stop that being so pervasive now? But here we go on this breaking news to the Hollywood Reporter. After several long consecutive days of negotiations, the WGA, Writers Guild of America, and the labor group representing studios and streamers have reached a tentative deal on a new contract on a major development, obviously, that could precipitate, there we go, the end of the historic 146-day writer's strike. So the WGA emailed, apparently, the strike captains the news here just moments ago, Sunday night. Interesting how this is breaking on a Sunday night, right? Because it's, right, tomorrow's back to work. Now, here's the problem. Obviously, we know SAG is still striking. So this isn't like totally done, but at least we can get the writers back on the lots. We can get them working on new scripts because we all know right now, look at the movies we have. We have garbage. We need good stuff written. So that's why this is important. SAG will follow, right? It has to. If they're with WGA, it's, obviously it's a 1-2, but it's going to get done, hopefully soon. Here's the exact quote here. We have reached a tentative agreement on a new 2023 MBA, which is to say an agreement in principle on all deal points, subject to drafting final contract language, the message stated. We can say with great pride this deal is exceptional with meaningful gains and protections for writers in every sector of the membership. So this is Hollywood Reporter we're looking at here. They have reached out to the Alliance of Motion Picture and Television Producers for comment. Parties came to term on a provisional 3-year agreement here, which will need to be ratified by all the members, WGA members, to take effect. And on Sunday, after studios responded, the last-minute union asked that day. Remember last night, all this news was like, we're getting close, right? They're getting close. We're going to get this done. And they're like, this is our last best deal. And everyone just piled on going, you got to be kidding me. Because listen, in any negotiation, you don't go, this is our last best deal. If you're on a car lot and someone says that, you're more than likely going to walk off. In fact, I'm looking for a new car now. And I had a situation like that. The guy's like, and he was just like so blunt. I go, that's it. I'm out of here. And I think that it's interesting. They're like, this is the last best deal. Maybe it was obviously it's a good enough deal. If the WGA, if they agree that this is good, we got to get the language right. But that's the specifics, we don't have. It says right here, 11,500 WGA members, a lot of them here in Los Angeles, right down the street. I've seen it every day. I mean, every day I drive by Disney and Warner Brothers, Universal. It's just like they're out there. They're out every morning. They've been that way for the past 146 days, SAG joining them after that. And you had both groups out there just swamping here along Olive, especially Warner Brothers. You make that turn on Barham, all of that just packed with the members here looking for better pay. This is an expensive city, man. LA is not cheap. Trust me, I'm here. I know it. Everything costs more these days too. So these guys and gals want more money, and they should get that, especially talented writers, right? Now, writers of films like Beau is Afraid, Ari Aster, and Magic Mike 3, they don't deserve more money. They deserve less money. Oh no, Weber's doing his thing. Hey, listen, this is sort of news, but this is also my opinion, and I will deliver it, and that's just how it goes. So learn to live with it. In its message to members, the union's negotiating committee asked for patience on details of the pact. What remains now is for our staff to make sure everything we have agreed to is codified, love it, in final contract language. And though we are eager to share the details of what has been achieved with you, we cannot do that until the last I is dotted. Now, the deal will first go to the union's negotiating committee for a vote, and then WGA West Board, WGA East Council. If approved by those leaders, members will then be able to vote to ratify this thing. Now, during the final weekend of negotiations, lawyers huddled before the studios presented their alleged, just like we said moments ago, the best and final offer on Saturday night. Later that same night, the AMPTP and WGA issued a joint statement, said they would be meeting again on Sunday. And of course, the news is here that they have reached a deal. So the mood among riders on Friday's packed picket lines. Remember, I told you, every day. I honk my horn. And the funny thing is, Burbank police have these signs out right in front of Warner Brothers and Disney, like, you can get fined if you honk your horn. I'm like, oh, God, please. So, of course, what do? Bam, bam, bam. As much as possible as I drive by the studios. The fact they've been talking for 3 days straight is terrific. Showrunner Mark Guggenheim, Legend of Tomorrow, told the THR at Disney. So this is all kind of backstory. It's over. Here's the thing. We don't have the details, but obviously, again, the WGA thinks this is good enough for them. And, in any deal, right, it's a negotiation. You have to just basically compromise. You're not going to get everything you want. Here's a variety. Let's just look through that. You're not going to get everything, right? Obviously, the writers are going to want all that they want. The studios are like, listen, we'll cede you some of this, but we're not going to give it all to you. So it's finding that middle ground, that compromise that we can get this thing over with. And it looks like we're done here at 146 days. It's a long time. My God. Think how much has not gotten written, is not ready to go. I really thought this would be over back in mid to late August. I was saying this multiple times here on MMT. I told you this thing will be over because of the TV. The episodic television gets cranked up in August. I used to be a PA on a show. You guys remember the Jeff Foxworthy show? I was a PA on that. I was a nighttime PA, a regular PA, and a stage PA. And we always cranked up in August. It's different now with all the streamers, but still, television likes to get back into it in August, September. So I thought they'd get it done. So the fact that we're still in September and it's done, I was close, a little off. But again, that's what happens in these things. They probably just, bore down and said, this is what we are. We're going to stop here. Again, looking here, let's go to the Variety article. Here we go. Let me share this one. So same thing, basically. Let's go over just quickly again for those of you joining us here at MMT. Thanks for being here. If you have not yet, subscribe, do so. Tonight, we have 2 streams. This is the WGA Strike Is OVER stream. And then we have the Shills Taking Over film criticism stream coming up at about 8:15. I'm going to take a little break in between. I just need a second, just a minute to down Mountain Dew Zero. That's it. All I need. Just do that. Give me a second, reset, and then we go into that. Because I just want to get this in one stream, right? Negotiators for WGA, an alliance of motion picture and television producers, reached the finish line Sunday after 5 consecutive days of negotiations. Day 4 on Saturday mostly involved lawyers for the Guild and the AMPTP hashing out the fine print of language around the complicated, groundbreaking additions to the WGA's minimum basic agreement. Nitty-gritty details of the language around the use of the generative AI, we talked about that off the top, right? AI in content production was one of the last items the sides worked on before closing the pact. Listen, if you're a writer, you don't want AI to start writing scripts. I saw a movie that was clearly written by AI last night, Expendables 4 or Expendables. So bad. That script's terrible. I swear it was written by a computer. It had to be with the things that I saw in that film. But you can understand if you're a writer, you don't want to be out of a job. You don't want to be, once you have AI take over and Hollywood thinks it's okay and they're saving money, right? Because that's the reality, right? How often have we seen this over and over? Whatever field you work in, okay, where you have, let's downsize. Let's make 2 jobs 1. So then one guy has to do all the work of whatever the other person was. That we've seen that over and over. Disney, Warner Brothers, Universal, they've all collapsed departments over the past several years. The pandemic was not good for basically any of them except for the streamers. Netflix wanted that thing to go on forever, right? Let's just have COVID lockdowns go on for the remainder of time on planet Earth. Everybody else is like, this isn't working out for us. We got to fire people, okay? And even Netflix stock went in the shitter. So it's not been good for Hollywood because there's so many options now. The fact that we even have one person, thank you for everybody watching right now. I'm not even looking at how many. I don't even care. We talk about that all the time in MMT. I don't care. We have one. It's all that matters. But you have a million options. So listen, at the end of the day, the AI is a big part of this, clearly, very big. But it sounds like they at least softened it. I can now imagine the studio saying, we're not going to do AI, right? They're not going to see that. They're not going to say, listen, we can't ever use it. They're going to say, we can use AI, but you have to have at least one writer in the room, something that is going to at least soften it. They're going to say, we want to be able to use it whenever we want, like the Expendables 4. but for everybody else, that it makes sense because you don't want to be obsolete. Who does? After nearly 5 months on strike, the work stoppage began May 2nd. Guys, my God, back in spring, before summer, everyone's been just going, let's get back to work. Have we all not been in the spot where you're not working as much, right? You're sitting around. That's not good after a while. We're designed to do things. Human beings are designed to do shit. We're designed to go out into the world, have interactions, not sit at home watching television. So if you're a writer, I'm sure they were writing right at home. Use this time wisely, right? If you're like a showrunner for a show that was on strike, you think how much you could write. You could write like multiple movies. If you're a writer, I would imagine, two, right? At least 2 scripts in 146 days. I would imagine. I'm not saying they're great. You could write Expendables 4. You could write 146 Expendables 4, right? Literally, a movie took 1 day to write, maybe a couple of hours. They might just say, hey, that sounds good. Just keep writing. And AI feeding shit. I'm telling you, that movie's a mess. I can't wait to talk about it tonight at 8:15. But this is going to end. We're going to do this, and then I'm going to blast that and the shills and all that shit coming up. I can't wait. Let's go to Deadline. I'll get a couple comments in here. And that's really where we're at. There's really not much more to add. I want to get some comments before we roll out of here. I'm going to do 8 o'clock. We'll take a break. Writers Guild reached a tentative agreement. Okay. We've reached a tentative agreement on the new 2023 NBA. Same thing we got from the other ones. We're not going to get the details. And frankly, I'm going to be honest with you guys. Listen, if I looked at a contract and the details, I'm not going to be able to go through that. I need a lawyer. I need to have a lawyer alongside me to explain all this. But that'd be the most boring stream ever. Not that these aren't good. I'm not suggesting these streams are good. Please believe me. Listen, I can promise you this. These streams are better than Expendables. That's all I can promise you. That's it. That's a really low bar, but I know I can pass that. Virtual discussions began mid-afternoon between negotiating committees for the WGA and AMPTP. It doesn't roll off the tongue very well. Here it is again, fine-tuning on issues like AI and staffing, one element of some continuing dispute today around the back-to-work schedules and protocols and all this stuff. Are we still doing the COVID protocols? Please say we're not. Like, literally. We're not still doing COVID tests. That would be enough for me if I was like in that negotiation. Some of you are probably going to lose your shit when I say this. I'd be like, I'm sorry, did you just say COVID test? Because that shit's done, man. No, we're not doing that. That's not part of this. So you can go ahead and go away. Hopefully the studios, you know how much money that added to the cost of a show? I told you guys I was on an episode of NCIS. I know this is the weirdest thing for those of you who never watched this. You're like, what am I watching? I get it. Trust me. I was on NCIS in the middle of COVID. And when I shot that thing, it was like episode 400. You can see me. It's fantastic. Huge star, by the way. Huge star in that show. And then you can see when we were shooting, you had to put on your mask and your shield, right? Director would be like, and cut. And they'd be like, mask and shield. Here's the mask. Here's the shield. You know how much money? And they had these COVID people, the compliance people walking around going, you're not doing that. And you got to test every 5 minutes. I need you to shove this shit up your nose. Oh my God. No. We're not doing that again. We're just not doing it. So I'm never taking another one in my life if they try to give me that shit. And that'll be a deal breaker. So I hope that was not part of this. For those of you who are like big COVID people, I'm sure you're freaking out right now, but I'm right. Ultimately, I'm right. That's the thing. Even if you're like a COVID freak, you're sitting there going, yeah, he's right. Marvin, amazing, right? It's such great news for those of us who love entertainment, period, whether it is film or television. Obviously, we focus on theatrical. It's all we talk about here on MMT. For those of you who are new to the channel, just watching for the first time, it's all you're going to get. So we're going to get some movies again, and we need better movies because we have things like Expendables and The Nun 2 and Haunting in Venice, 3 terrible films in a row, and you wonder why no one's going to the movies. We need better films. We need writers writing good things, not AI generating Expendables 4 crap. Oh my God. Yeah, it broke early Sunday. Yeah, right. That's right. Yom Kippur, right? So they wanted to get it, and then so negotiations. So we're on hold, but here's the deal: it's done. If they're announcing this, they're good. They just have to fine tune all that language. It's over, and that is the best news we can have here on this Sunday night. All right, a few more comments. I want to roll out of here and take a break and come back at 8:15 because I don't want to talk about WGA Strike when we do that show. It's going to be all about shills and how it has taken over Hollywood, and we've got to get control back. We have to. We need to shut these people down. And I mean that. I really do. I'm not saying people can't say things. I'm saying we need to make sure you push back and say you're a shill. That's it, right? It's not you can't say it. We just have to do that. We've got to do that. Aaliyah, getting back to work for the ratification vote depends on what the WGA decides on Tuesdays. They might not return to work. And yeah, it might not be, hey, everyone's back to work on Tuesday. That's not going to happen. But maybe by next Monday, by the time the language gets done, they have to vote on it. They're going to do it. They're going to fast track it. They want to get everyone back in working, obviously. The writers, for sure, they want those showrunners back in the rooms writing scripts for any show that you watch. Movies, if you're a writer for a movie, you could just do that right now, right? Unless you're in the middle of it and you're shooting the film and you're doing rewrites and you're doing pages or whatever, during the actual shoot. That's different. But if you're writing a film, coming up, then you could just do that at home. The strike obviously affected you because you can't, there's probably a lot of things were on hold. Look at Deadpool 3, just great example of a film in the middle of shooting. And what a pain in the ass, right? You had WGA, then you had SAG, and they literally are on location. Ryan Reynolds, when you shoot a movie, right, you got to look a certain way. So now you notice when you go see a movie with reshoots, people look different. Yeah, because we all look different even a couple months. Like change of hair, put a little weight on, a little weight off, and you look and you're like, that looks weird. I've seen so many movies where you can tell it's a reshoot. The hair's different. You go, what the hell? Best example is Henry in Mission Impossible and in Justice League when he's got his mustache, and then Paramount's like, nope, you can't shave it, and Warner Bros. Like, shit, we got to do reshoots. So they did the CGI, and it looks terrible. My God, Cavill looks like it's frightening, right? You've seen it, his lip. What happened? That's because that's what happens with reshoots. So everything that was in a reshoot or everything that was in the middle of shooting is on pause. We still have to wait for the SAG. But again, domino fall, here comes the next one, SAG. It will happen because they're combined. They're obviously synergistic because you need both writers and actors to get a show done. I hope that whatever the actors are asking for, and that's another detailed as hell thing, and certainly AI is another part of that, as we've seen with the de-aging, watch Indiana Jones and the Dial of Disaster, right? It is that. That's the title. Don't ask me. That's what it's called because it is terrible. But, well, it's actually just incredibly boring, that film. But watch, right? Look at Harrison Ford at the beginning of that film. How far has that come? Go back to The Irishman in 2019. Remember how creepy they all look, the eyes and stuff? It's like, what? Like, it does. I mean, it's sort of there. Now you look at Dial Disaster and you go, that's Harrison Ford back in 1989. That's 88, 87, whatever, right? It's like, this is really good. The Fed strike was only 35 days and people were selling blood plasma in their furniture. Can imagine no paycheck for 140 days. And also, guys, listen, we'll get ready to wrap this because I want to roll out of here and then come back on. Okay, it's like we're taking a commercial break. I need 15 minutes to get the other show ready. But you think about, again, I can't stress enough to you, this town is expensive as hell. I mean, the rent, right? The gas, we're paying $6. I just filled up down in Orange County today, and it was $5.50, which is cheaper. LA $6. So $6 a gallon, that's for the low shit. I don't put like 92 in my car, right? I'm putting the 87. Do you have an 85? An 83? Can I keep getting down on cars like going, but I'm saving money, baby. So that's what this town takes so much from you. And the other thing about writing and acting, it's a tough business. Let me tell you this story just about an actor. I was at an awards party like before COVID, and I was talking to a character actor. I don't need to say who it is. Character actor who works a lot. And I said, that's got to be tough, right? It's a tough life to be an actor or writer, whatever it is, where you're just going from thing to thing and you don't know when the next one's coming. And he looked at me and he said, it's brutal because when you're working on whatever you're working on, you're thinking of the next job. So you're not even in the moment. You are, but you're worried, like, what's my next job? Because this is over tomorrow and I don't have a job lined up and I don't want to sit around, because we talked about that before. When you don't have something to do, you're not productive. It's not good. Everyone needs to do something to feel productive, whatever that is. And so an actor wants to act, a writer wants to write. So now tonight, good news. The writers are going to be returning. The final language gets set, gets finished up. Yom Kippur, as we said, tomorrow, and then Tuesday, they hopefully get it done, and then we get people back in the offices by maybe Friday, Monday. Obviously, more as the story progresses here over the next several days. Big news is the strike is over. Over. Everybody, we're going to take a break. I'll be back at 8:15. Big show tonight, talking about movies and shills. I'm going to call people out directly like I always do. It is a big problem, and that's our big topic, because what we're going to talk about, box office, we're going to talk about Expendables. I mean, I will, because it's terrible, but we're not going to talk about anything, nothing else out. So writers, thank you for returning. Get in the office. Give us good movies. Shows too, for those of you watching. For me, I want big, awesome movies, or things like Tar. I did it. I got Tar in before the stream's over. That's it for now. Live from LA. I'll see you in about 15 minutes. Peace. All good news tonight.